Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers discover great new indie authors. Find us on any major podcast system, Amazon TV, and YouTube. Join Mel Greenberg for today's show.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Indie Beacon TV. I'm Mel Greenberg, and I'm really excited to introduce you to our author this evening. As you may or may not know, I'm here in Tucson, Arizona, and Katie Douglas is also a Tucsonan. And though we've actually never met or spoken person to person, we are fast friends on Instagram. And if you don't follow her, give it a try because her posts, I think I just fell in love with her. I'm a little obsessed. They're irreverent and inspiring, and as is her writing. And you're really going to enjoy meeting her this evening. Katie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me and for that sweet welcome. I don't know if I deserve all that praise. Thank you so, because I'm a little crazy on Instagram, so I appreciate you, Mel.
Yeah, I laugh, and you know what? Sometimes, especially the past 12 months, we need some levity in our lives, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, Katie, you're an independent author, and you've got a beautiful series out, and there's a great story behind how it came to fruition that I'd love you to share from the beginning.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I tried to write this book for a really long time. And of course, I think a lot of writers say that. I finally wrote it when my youngest child went to preschool and I had a little time on my hands. And it's set here in Arizona, in Southern Arizona, all places I know and love so much. And once I finished that first one, it was sort of like, oh, I guess the story's not over. So I wrote the next two right after. And it was, yeah, just a big labor of love, and took me years and years to finally, bring the whole vision to make it complete. So I'm really proud of it.
You should be. I mean, it's one thing to have that idea and sit down and think you're going to do it, but then to do it and do it so successfully and so beautifully, and then to keep it going and keep the series going and keep everyone, inspired, it is quite an accomplishment, and you should be very proud of yourself. How did you end up in Southern Arizona?
So I was raised here. I was actually born and raised in Tucson, and I went to school at NAU up in Flagstaff. And that's where I studied English education. I went there to become an English teacher, which I did for many years. Then I took some time off from teaching to raise my babies, kind of moved all around Arizona. So I've lived, in Flagstaff and Phoenix and Tucson, and we lived down south in Sierra Vista for a while. And I really came to love that part of Arizona, Mel. And you probably know, because like all the great wineries and beautiful places to go down south. And I just sort of, in Sonoyta. Have you been?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the best.
Beautiful. It's kind of a hidden gem to those outside of the state. We, especially in Southern Arizona, know and appreciate it. Doesn't get quite the accolades that other parts of the state do, and it's magnificent.
It Great really escapes. Is. It's so beautiful, and that's where my whole series is set. My mom lived down there for a while too, and it's just, it's a really inspiring, gorgeous, gorgeous place. So that's how kind of I came to write about that area. I realized I tried to set my book somewhere else, and I realized Arizona is what I know, and it's such a part of me. And I think that's why I had to write, make that my setting.
Well, don't you find too that when you are, it just gives so much more authenticity than setting something, and I mean, it can be done and successfully also, but there's something really unique and special about writing from whence you came and the setting. And I love that you did that.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. Yeah. And the desert is just such a part of me, and because you're a Tucson gal too, and it's just such a special place. And people really do enjoy, if they're not from here, they enjoy reading about it too. So I love that. I love when people connect with it and they're like, okay, well now I kind of want to come to Arizona, and that makes me happy too, because it is a beautiful place.
And with your books, I mean, the storyline and the setting, it gives intrigue to the area. So it's like, oh, and it's sort of, it's kind of like one of my favorite movies of all time is Pirates of the Caribbean. And I think I must have been in a past life, but there's just something really fabulous and intriguing about that. And I think reading your books and the setting kind of, give life to that. It's that secret part of you that might maybe the Wild West,
Right. Well, thank you. I love it. One of my friends' husbands read the book and he told me, he goes, really, your setting is a whole other character in your book. It's that important that it's just this, it's almost its own character. And I was like, and he's not even an English person, like English teaching type person. And that was some high praise he gave me. So that made me happy.
That is, and you know what? That's when my first book was set in Florence, Italy, and that was the kind of feedback I would get, and I love that because you have fun. You have fun writing about the location and where you set it, and the story developed through that setting. But then when people really get that, it's reaffirming that, like, okay, I did it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's nothing better than when people say that. It's so true.
It is true. So you did say you were an English teacher, or you went to school and you studied English, and are you teaching currently? Have you gone back to teaching?
I have. In the last couple of years, I went back once all my kiddos were in school, and I teach at the high school level right now, which is insanity. And then I'm also teaching at a local community college. I teach writing there. And it's really great. Teaching, it's hard to balance writing with that because it's an exhausting job. You kind of give yourself away all day long. So, it's hard to have that time left to be creative. But I'm trying to find that, and especially on weekends, and just take my time to really set that aside. So, but I love teaching. It's I'm a glutton for punishment, I think. And I love it.
Well, so we're doing this interview on Zoom, and you probably must live on Zoom right now as a teacher. How is that different? How do you feel like not connecting, physically?
It's really difficult. I have some students in the class. We're on a hybrid schedule, but a lot of them are on Zoom. But we've gotten really good at it over time. We've gotten better at it over this last year. But it's a challenge, and I do miss, having them all in class all the time. But it's been nice to have even some of that interaction. But yeah, isn't it hilarious that I'm like, oh yeah, Zoom, no problem. And right before this interview, we were still having some technical, which again, we'll blame on Mercury retrograde. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why, but
why not?
We'll dump that there.
Yeah, exactly. I do want to kind of get into the storyline, and let's start just a little bit right now with book one, and talk about the characters and how you brought them to life and why.
So book one is really the one that hooks those romance readers because it is a love story. It's a first love story that kind of happens in Southern Arizona. But I've often been given the compliment that it's different from other, love stories or romance novels because the characters are so different. Charlotte is a really tough, incredible, spiritual young lady who's just finding her way in the world. She's had a really difficult life. And Wyatt is likewise around the same age frame. And he's about to make a big change in his life and join the Marine Corps. The most probably beloved character in my series is a psychic character. Her name is Rose, and she's Charlotte's aunt, and everyone really loves her. And I think that's what brings the unique element into the storyline and the whole psychic piece and the spiritual piece. People really seem to connect with that and enjoy that part of it. That is, I do like to meditate, and I do yoga, and I'm very interested in things in the spiritual realm. So that was probably the most fun thing to write in that novel in particular.
And is it a cliffhanger?
It is, and I can say that and not get burned at the stake now because the second one's out.
Yeah, but, yeah, I do know.
is. Yeah. I mean, people were mad. I've read a lot of books with cliffhangers and they don't bother me if I know more is coming.
Right.
But people were upset. I think we live in a real Netflix binge culture now, and actually somebody I know really well, she told me, I bought all your books. I will not read them until they're all out. I'm sorry. Because she wanted to binge them, so they're all out now, but it does end on a little cliffhanger. Yes.
Okay, so but it's good for everyone to know that they don't have to wait and they don't have to send you stabbing emojis. You are delivered and they can read all 3 of them. We're going to take a quick break and let our sponsors do their thing. We're grateful for them every week. I'm Mel Greenberg. You're watching the Indie Beacon Show. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Rox Berkey. I write the Enigma series with my co-author. We write as Brakefield and Berkey. Today we have 12 books in this series, with The Enigma Threat being the newest release on January the 8th of 2021. It's an exciting book that goes to the next generation, and we hope that you'll check it out and all the other books in the Enigma series. Thank you.
Lone Star Festival, a Texas-sized event. Meet authors, artists, and Texas musicians in the city of Seguin on May 29, 2021. Sponsored by Real Seguin, Coffee Shop, Authors Marketing Guild, B4R.store, and Dear Texas. Produced by Texas Authors Institute of History. Join us and get your free tickets online at lonestar.book. Marianne Fairmouth is a career consultant with 30 years experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at fairmouth.com. Lone Star Festival, where Texas authors, artists, and creatives come together for a Texas-sized event. Join us on May 29, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Seguin Coliseum, Seguin, Texas. Free for everyone. Produced by Texas Authors Institute of History. Sponsored by B4R.store, Authors Marketing Guild, and the City of Seguin. More information at lonestar.bookfestival.network. Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers discover great new indie authors. Find us on any major podcast system, Amazon TV, and YouTube. Join Mel Greenberg for today's show.
And we're back. I'm Mel Greenberg. You're watching the Indie Beacon TV show. I'm here tonight with Tucson author Katie Douglas, and we were talking about book 1 and then the idea of cliffhangers. And I know there's a lot of series books out there that do have, mine does, and how readers really either love you or hate you depending on how you release them. And you happily have all 3 out now. What without giving too much away, kind of give us the overarching theme of the entire series.
So it really, my editor always wanted me to call it a saga. And that reason is because it goes over really not an entire lifetime, but many, many years that we follow these characters throughout their life. And I do that without jumping ahead too much, without leaving many gaps in their lives. But really it's about, the spiritual paths of our lives, how the people that we meet are never really by mistake. There's a large theme in life that references past lives and past life regression and things like that, that sometimes people are like, even folks who are a little more, they're not really into all that, they seem to really enjoy that aspect of it. And it's sort of fascinating concept to think about how people might come back into our lives every lifetime. And I had a lot of fun exploring those possibilities with the series. Something a lot of people talk about with my series too is how friends become family, how family is often something what you make it. Friendship is a really big theme in the book. I kind of pride myself on my side characters being just as important as those main characters. I never want them to just be annoying, like, oh, let's get the side story over with. People really do fall in love with them too. So I like that aspect of it, and friendship and love and spirituality and sort of the purpose of our lives. I think that's the overall, feeling of the whole series.
Wonderful. What's next on tap for you? And I hesitated because I was going to ask if there was more to the series, but you may not want to divulge that. What are you looking at writing next?
I've thought about writing a book 4, but I haven't decided. Book 3 does come to a resolution. I had to tell people that, Mel, so they would read it because they were mad at me after the first couple. But book 3, it 100% comes to a resolution. I lost friends over that until that third book was out. No.
Delete.
Yeah, they were mad. I thought about writing a 4th book. I have since written 2 manuscripts that I just sort of have sitting and marinating at the moment. I might go through the query process with both, but we all know, that's like a full-time job in itself, is just the querying process to find a publisher. So we'll see what I do with those. I definitely know I have a lot of really loyal readers who have been so great and, and followed me this time. And I do have them, asking like, well, when's the next book out? And so I have a couple, but you know how it is. I like to let them sit a while and marinate.
I get that. You did mention that people become so engaged with the side characters. And as with many series, the characters go on to their own shows. Any thoughts about having one of them take the lead in another book?
I have had people really suggest, and I use the word suggest loosely, they've demanded that.
Bossy friends.
Yeah, I know. They're like, I need you to write, a spin-off of Rose. Rose is obviously that favorite character. So people have suggested that. And if I had the story there, if it came to me, I definitely wouldn't rule it out. I sort of love I love Diana Gabaldon, who is an Arizona author as well. And she's got all kinds of, she has her series, but then she has all these spin-offs of side characters. And I think that's really fascinating because they fall in love with them. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's actually not a bad idea. So
how was your publishing process for these? Talk us through that.
It was a learning process for sure. The indie community is really supportive though. And there's a lot of indie authors that if you reach out to them and just say, hey, I'm having trouble with this, or they're helpful, they want to help. And so that's been really lovely. The first one was sort of a hot mess, just trying to get through and understand the whole process. And with each one, I think it's gotten much smoother. But I also really love the process. I've been able to, make all my own covers. The covers are original pictures that a local Tucson photographer took. I am on 2 of the covers. My husband is on another, not our faces, but part of us. And so that's been fun. It's a lot of work to do all that yourself, but it's also a really fun part of the creative process, I think.
Mm-hmm. And rewarding when you do finish it. It's yours. It's your baby.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I look at it and I really am proud when I see them all together. And yeah, it was a labor of love for sure.
Yeah. What if you could give advice to anyone out there listening and watching, start to finish, what would it be? Because I'm sure you go through a myriad of emotions and doubts and self-doubt and that self-talk that says, no, I can't do this, or yes, I can, or maybe you didn't.
Yeah, no, I definitely did. And I think I stopped myself from writing my own book for years. And you know how that can work as well, just the whole writing process. For years and years, I tried to write, I went to school, I was an English major, plenty of creative writing classes. And I think the best advice I can give to someone is just write. Don't go back and second guess yourself. Don't go back and edit yourself to a standstill. And it's something I teach my students too, is that writing flow, because they'll stop and they'll go back and go, oh, I hate this line, I hate this. Well, what you've done then is stop your whole creative process. It's the same with academic writing and creative writing. So I think that's the best advice I could give to someone. Just, even if you think it's garbage, just write it, because that's the most important step. And as you know, the step most people don't get past that one, you know?
Right. Are you fancying staying in romance, or would you go down into another?
I would love to go in any genre. Honestly, I have ideas and outlines for lots of different books. I love historical fiction, so I would love to write a historical fiction novel, but you know, that's a lot of work too. It's a lot of research. So that's different. But yeah, I definitely don't want to stick to one genre, which, as you know, as an author, that's kind of challenging because people like to see the same thing from you. But I would love to write all kinds of things.
Very cool. Do you, in your writing that you teach, are you in your classes, whether high school or the community college, do you specifically teach creative writing?
No, I
English
wish
in general?
I wish I did. I teach Writing 101, which is mainly academic writing, you know, argumentative writing, rhetorical analysis, those type of things. And I know that my students would love to, people love to write creatively. They love to write about themselves. So it's sometimes hard to walk that line. I would love to teach creative writing, and maybe one day. With my high school students, I have a little bit more freedom with that. And occasionally we can do some creative writing, and they love it. And I love reading their creative writing too. It's really fun. And it's, especially right now for my students, I think it's important to have that outlet, you know, and self-expression.
Do your characters come from experiences you've had or people you know, or the kind of a myriad of that?
Yeah, I think my characters, you might relate to that too. I'm like, well, that character is about 5 different people, right? You know, they're never just one person to me, but they seem to take up a lot of people, a lot of experiences I've had. And I can attribute a lot of those to years of bartending and waitressing in college. I think they were good. I met a lot of characters during that time.
How has promoting and selling the book been during COVID? Especially as an indie author, we have a lot to do ourselves.
Yeah, so much to do. It's been a challenge. It's always a challenge. During COVID, I feel like a lot of people were reading more, specifically at the beginning when they were real bored. Like, that's when I feel like those Kindle Unlimited reads were way sky high because everybody was home and had the time. So in that way, it hasn't been all bad for that. But it's hard, you know, because yeah, when you're marketing yourself, you have to be unique and you have to share parts of yourself too. It's not just, this is my book. You're more talking to people about who you are and what you're all about and your life, and kind of letting them in on that. And it's fun though. I really do like interacting with my readers and fellow authors. As far as social media goes, it's just the absolute best of social media, in my opinion, doing that type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to getting some more information on that. We are going to take a quick break and let our supporters and our sponsors do their thing. I'm Mel Greenberg. I'm here tonight with Katie Douglas, and we will be right back.
Authors Marketing Guild, a membership-owned company where authors can learn how to better market and sell their books. Join us at authorsmarketingguild.com.
Factor 7, the newest thriller by author J.D. May, will keep you turning the pages with mystery, betrayal, lies, and infidelity. Ripped from the headlines, Factor 7 follows 2 prominent doctors who uncover a clandestine plot to spread a bioweapon with a 98% mortality rate. Journey with them as they experience a world of murder, power, intrigue, and corruption, where it becomes deadly clear that exposing the truth is just as dangerous as the weapon they seek to expose.
Publishing marketing package for authors. A $1,500 value, save 40% now. Includes a 6-piece marketing kit of 250 bookmarks, 250 business cards, 250 postcards, 1 table banner, 1 table runner, and 50 download cards, plus book cover design, ebook creation, PDF setups, upload to Ingram Spark, scroll placement, video commercial, and interview on IBS, plus much more. Email bourgeoismedia@look.com for details or bourgeoismedia.com.
Hello, I am the author Denise Bryson. My first book is The Things That Cross My Mind, Inspirational Poetry with Life Lessons. And then my audiobook is Love's Reality. And it is also inspirational poetry with a jazzy flair. And then my new book is The Sex, the Lies, and the Soul Ties. They're really short stories written from a poetic expression. And then I have my first children book series, the Blinky series, which the first book is called Meet the Coins, and it is both in English and Spanish. And then the new book, From Coins to Bills. I am the author, Denise Bryson.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to care for a loved one? Well, during COVID, almost all of us have been doing just that. I'm Charlotte Canyon, award-winning author, actress, and speaker. And my book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, shows you how you can revive, thrive, and survive with 4 golden rules. You have to love one another. You have to respect one another. You have to have patience with one another. And most of all, you've got to forgive one another. I'm Charlotte Canyon, and I approve this message.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers discover great new indie authors. Find us on any major podcast system, Amazon TV, and YouTube. Join Mel Greenberg for today's show.
They keep me hopping.
Yeah. So do you teach at Pima?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. My husband is has always been a volunteer football and lacrosse coach, and
Nice.
our kids went to South Point and they both played there. And we founded the lacrosse program there when my oldest was a freshman. But he's last year and now he went back and he missed it so much. He's at the Pima team, and
Is he?
yeah, they have a new coach next year who's actually a dear friend of ours, and he's my son's age. He played at Buena and then Syracuse, but went to Pima and then went to Syracuse, and they did offer him the job. So because Dean told him, he's like, I'm not staying to help if you don't like.
Oh, what's
this
his
guy
name?
needs-
He went to Buena. Do you know when he graduated? I used to teach at Buena.
Oh, he did, because so Matthew graduated in 92. So he was born in 92, in 2010.
Oh my gosh, I was teaching there in
Oh,
09.
Darius Kelly is his name.
Okay. I can't remember him. But I was teaching there during that time. I was teaching there right before I had my twins.
Did you know Dee Dee Johnson? She was a runner.
I can't remember that name.
That's him. But anyway, that's his name. And he's just the most wonderful young man. And it's a great.
So great. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. That's great. Yay, Pima. It's a great institution.
Where are you at?
I'm at Desert Vista. So I'm at the South Side campus. Yeah. But they've been all virtual for a year. I normally go down and teach like a couple nights a week down at the South Side campus. They'll love it. Love the kids. They're awesome.
All right, ladies, you ready to rock and roll?
Okay,
Whenever you're ready.
tell me when. Okay. I'm Mel Greenberg. Welcome back to the Indie Beacon TV show. We're here tonight with Katie Douglas, and you mentioned KDP and the sales up during COVID, and that's it's a great question when you're starting to decide what platforms to make your book available on as an independent author, and that was a big conundrum for me, whether to do the free, the unlimited, and I did do it for a time and then stopped. And I'm curious about how you made those decisions and where you are now.
Yeah. So I've been Kindle Unlimited the whole time, and I still am. I think that it's really widened my audience, especially for the series, in that, people will just get on one, and now that they're all out, they'll just read through them all. So I've noticed a huge page increase since then. And I really do think it's been the biggest thing to widen my audience there. But I know, I understand people's, hesitancy doing it. It's such a hard choice to make. And I've actually just now considered, okay, do I take it off now or do I take some of them off now? I'm not sure what I should do with it. So I don't know if I have a great answer. I did at one point, once my third book was out, I ran a free promotion on my first book. And that was something that really widened my audience that I would encourage a lot of indies to do. Those free promotions are usually, I think they're only for like a week. You can do them 5 days maybe.
I think
Yeah, it was really helpful. And I think I had a lot of people who wouldn't have read my book otherwise discover my book during that time. So I would always encourage that for people if they have a series of books out. I think that was really great for me.
So is it only available on Kindle, or can readers get it in paperback also?
It's paperback. Also, look, I set it out behind me, all 3 of them. But yeah, they're on paperback too. And yeah, I love my covers, the way they turned out.
Show them all. Show us all.
I'll show them all up. So yeah, this first one, this is a picture of me on there, and I don't mean to be that self-absorbed, but it is the back of my head. So I didn't feel like it was too bad of me. The next one is actually my husband. The book 2 is called Snowfall. And the funny story with this was Mel 2 years ago when we had snow in Tucson, remember? Like down low by us. Yep. And my photographer came over and took photos of me, and she had my husband jump in for one, and everyone decided they liked his picture better. So it went to his head. And then this is the last one, Somewhere in Time. And these ones of me were taken down in that place we were talking about earlier, down in Sonoita, which is just a beautiful place in southern Arizona. So I would say a lot of people do buy my paper books backs. They take really pretty pictures of them for me because I love that. But I think most of my readers definitely come from Kindle, specifically Kindle Unlimited. Yeah, I think they do. And it's been a great tool to widen that audience for sure.
And so where can we find your books?
So
they're all the outlets.
So they're sold exclusively on Amazon and also on my website, which is just katieJdouglas.com. So I've kept it pretty simple in that regard. I probably need to open that up to the other providers as well. But yeah, as of right now, they're just Amazon. Oh, I'm sorry. There's also a local shop here that sells candles. Oh my goodness, the name, Little Flame Co. They also sell my books, which is really cool. They're a little local Tucson company. Yeah, and they sell my books as well. So some people just, would rather buy local or would rather just shop small. That's where they order those from. So that's been really nice.
And where can we find you on social media? Instagram.
Instagram. Instagram's our favorite, Mel. We're both on our Instagram.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love Instagram so much. What's your handle there?
It's Katie J. Douglas, and it's the same. I do have a Facebook page as well. I have not joined the Twitterverse yet. I don't know how I feel about that, but on Pinterest as well, and Instagram is really the main one. I feel like that I communicate with people and readers. And so then, or Amazon. Correct. Yeah, they can follow me there as well. They have that great feature that I feel like we, as authors, don't even utilize enough, and have people follow us on Amazon, which is so great because once they do, every time you release something. All right. Well, Katie, it has been such a joy to talk with you tonight and introduce you to all of our followers and listeners and viewers. I'm Mel Greenberg. This has been another episode of the Indie Beacon Show. Thank you so much. We will see you next week. Ciao. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Indie Beacon Show, produced by B. Allen Bourgeois for the Authors Marketing Guild, LLC, copyright 2021. Voiceover by Randy James and B. Allen Bourgeois. If you would like to be a sponsor of this show, please reach out to us at info at authorsmarketingguild.com. If you'd like to be on the show, please complete the form at radio.authorsmarketingguild.com. Music is Always Rejoice by Rampart of Ukraine.